You got it. It's just all that dang snow out there in Nashville that's giving you some trouble.
That's what it is. What is this, 24? Episode 24?
Yep.
All right, here we go. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. This is episode 24 of the Mind of a Mind. Oh, okay, and Nathan, we're going to redo that one again. sorry.
This is the Mind of a Coach podcast.
Got that part. Okay, all right. All right. Well, now I'm going to sweat for the rest of the episode. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. This is episode 24 of the Mind of a Coach podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Asa Duval. Got my good friend with me, Nathan Moran. Nate, how you doing today, sir?
All right, I'm good, Asa. How are you doing?
I'm good, dude. We got the snowpocalypse up here in Nashville, Snowpocalypse 2021. The roads are bad. Interstates are okay, but we haven't been able to go to practice Monday or Tuesday. Haven't seen the guys all week. Haven't been on the court. Supposed to have a game Thursday. That's going on as planned right now, but I can't see really that happening. So we'll see what happens. But y'all don't have any snow, do you?
No, there was a little flurry this morning. A little dusting, but that's about it. No, nothing like the snowpocalypse you got going on there.
Yeah, dude. I don't think I've lived in Nashville my whole life. I don't think I've ever seen this much snow here in Nashville.
Wait, how many inches is it?
5-ish. I don't know, 4 or 5.
Are you being serious?
Well, a lot of it was like, rain and stuff, like, icy rain and then sleet, and that just all piled on each other. But it's supposed to get bad again tonight. So, I don't know, man. But I really haven't seen this much snow in Nashville. I don't think ever. Maybe like when I was in the first or second grade, there was that bad snowstorm. But other than that, this has been crazy. So I'm surviving, alive and kicking, as always. But I'm just trying to survive this snowpocalypse.
My mom texted me and said, y'all be careful wherever you are. Berkeley, which is our dog for those who don't know, Berkeley ran outside this morning and slipped and fell.
Is Berkeley okay?
I think she's okay.
All right, good. I'm glad Berkeley survived.
But that was a heck of a text to wake up to.
Oh, that is hilarious. Yeah, man. Yeah. It's out here for sure. It's out here for sure. You how was this weekend?
2 losses, Asa. So not great.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, welcome to the club.
Yeah, we just played a team that's a good team that played well, and we're a good team, and we didn't play well. So
yeah,
1 + 1 = 2, and we lost.
Yeah, that'll do it to you.
You got just trying to get back in it.
You got a historical fact of the week for us?
All right, I do. So Asa, this might be a tough one.
Okay.
So there's going to be an A and a B to this. All right.
All right.
So the A is, do you know why backboards were created in the game of basketball?
Oh gosh, this is like why backboards were created. I would assume so the ball doesn't just go out of bounds if you miss.
Yep, it was basically it was to nail the basketball hoops to the mezzanine balcony of the court and stop the fans in the audience from handling the ball, thus interfering with the game's progress. Do you know what the original backboards were made of?
All right, so the original basket was a peach basket, right?
Yes.
All right, so the backboard, plywood?
Chicken wire.
Chicken wire?
Chicken wire to keep the ball from going out.
Wow.
How about that? Yeah.
That's a new one. I've never heard chicken wire. I don't think I knew that one.
I was today years old when I found that out. So chicken wire, the first original backboard. So
well, hey, 1 for 2. All right. I think I'm 4 out of my last 5. 4 out of my last 5, I believe. We're 4 out of my last 5.
There's no if you had gotten that, if you had pulled that one off.
Chicken wire was tough. I have not heard chicken wire.
Yeah, no, I haven't either. Literally today years old.
All right, okay. So what I'm getting on my chat this week, Nick, I was watching the NBA, and they, first of all, let me back up. You know how Vandy does their goals? They come down from the ceiling in Memorial. They come down and they have like the 4 posts. There's no backstop.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand why all NBA teams, especially, and honestly most colleges, why don't they do that? Because I know we've had injuries in the past. I'm not saying that we've had one recently, but those backstops these athletes are so big, they're so fast, they're so athletic. It's still too close, man. Why can't everybody just go and use the Vandy method and just have them sitting around so there's no backstop? Because it's too much of an injury risk. I don't understand why there's still a backstop. Help me make it make
Well,
sense.
well, a lot of these gymnasiums,
They could figure it out. They could figure it out.
there are a lot of concerts that are held there. So you
Same
can't
with
just have
Vandy. Same with Vandy. They got the Commodore Quake every year.
Yeah, but do you realize how big those poles would have to be?
No, Nate. Look, they bring them down from the ceiling.
And how much
They're
they would
like,
shake and everything else? I
no,
know. How large the poles would have to be. There's got to be a reason.
yeah, but it's on like a wire and it comes down. They're not just standing there. Like there's a way to anyway. There's got to be an easier way to get rid of these backstops because I'm sick of them.
Maybe it is to make the fans' view, the audience's view, more pleasurable.
That makes no sense, Nate, because if you're sitting behind the goal, then the backstop obstructs your view.
So you're telling me if you're in the top row and you're behind the goal, will you be able to see still?
Yeah, because it's a glass backboard. As we just talked about, it used to be chicken wire. Now it's a glass backboard. So if you're sitting behind.
No, I mean, if you're in the top row, you can see down. It doesn't even go. But if there's poles in the way, you have to look around the pole.
No, Nate, look, they come down, they lower them down on a wire. And then there's 4, 10-foot poles that like thin poles. That are stabilizing the goal.
I don't know. I need a visual.
Have you been a Memorial?
Yeah, but I mean, we've played in Memorial, but it's been a while.
I know, but they don't have a backstop. I think every team needs to do that. I think the NBA especially, and I think college should look at doing it too, because these backstops are way too close to the court.
Well, there you go.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting to our interview. We got Coach Markel Cox coming on. I met him at Cincinnati Christian back in 2019 before the school shut down. He is now the head women's coach at Arkansas Monticello, and he's been around the block a little bit in the coaching world. So we hope you enjoy that. So stay tuned.
From there I went to Lemoyne and then Southeastern Illinois.
Lemoyne. All right, that wasn't on your bio.
Volunteer.
Okay. Lemoyne Owen. What a school.
Yeah, great school.
Oh man! All right, everybody. We got Coach Markel Cox on the show with us. Markel did his undergrad at Arkansas Pine Bluff and Middle Tennessee State University. From there, he went on to Lemoyne Owen College in Memphis, Tennessee. May I add, he is a Memphis native. He went to from there. He went to Southeastern Illinois College, on to Clark State Community College. Was then the assistant women's basketball coach at Urbana University. Then he got named the head women's coach at Cincinnati Christian University in 2016, which is where I met you in 2019. And he is now the head coach at Arkansas Monticello in May. He got hired as the head coach at Arkansas Monticello in May 2020. Markel, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm good, man. We can't complain. We can't complain at all. Let's go ahead and start off with let's get to the meat. Let's get into the meat and the potatoes. Talk about CCU a little bit. Your experience there.
CCU, I tell people all the time, the one thing I miss about CCU are the people. Foster some lifelong great relationships, with both administration and with fellow coaches and my players and other students. But, I'm sad that it ended, but I'm happy that it got a chance to happen. And, glad I got a chance to meet you and, Josh and some other really good basketball coaches, Coach Greg Miller, Max Pendry, who's now in my conference at East Central. So, just got a chance to meet some really, really good dudes, man. And it was an interesting place.
Yeah.
A lot happened. I could probably write a book about my 3 years there. But, needless to say, it was a necessary step for me to be able to take this at Arkansas Monticello here.
Yes. All right. So let's get into a little more detail about CCU.
Hey, hold up. Markel, Hey, I really appreciate how you corrected Asa, but you waited to correct it by saying it yourself on the Arkansas Monticello, not Monticello.
It's not Monticello?
It's Monticello.
Okay. All right.
Because I was looking at you when he said it, and you were trying not to laugh.
Every other place in the world that school that word is written is Monticello. It's not. All right. Okay. My bad.
It's Monticello here in Arkansas, man.
Thank you for pointing that out, Nate. Thank you.
Yeah,
All right, hey,
absolutely.
let's get into a little more detail about CCU. Well, let's see. Josh Lester got hired there as the assistant men's basketball coach, and I guess it was June of 2019. And then I moved up there in September of 2019, which is when I met you. And there were some things going on. The faculty and staff knew about it. From what I know, we were all under the impression that the school was good until at least June, right? At least at least May or June to the end of the school year. So there for a couple months, we play our first game. Y'all had 2 or 3 games before then, and then on Monday, I remember this like it was yesterday. On Monday, October 28th, we get an email from the administration. All the faculty and staff got one that said, "Hey, we're having a meeting tonight at 5 p.m. regarding HLC, the Higher Learning Committee stuff, right?" And so, what are your thoughts when that email got sent?
So my very first call was to one of our higher ups. I said, I can't attend this meeting. We got practice at 5. We got a game tomorrow. Like, we're trying to get ready. He was like, no, I need you at this meeting. I was like, okay. If it's that important, what am I supposed to do about practice? Like, it was probably, I don't know, 3:00 at that time.
Yep.
And I'm like, I'm a planner. So it's like, so I just got to call and tell my players practice it off. Do I need to push it back? And I wasn't getting any answers. So I'll never forget, man, going into the chapel and just sitting down and just having them there and just saying, hey, this is it. At the end of the semester, it's done. And I was like, okay, my first thought was, I didn't know schools could do that.
Yeah.
Because I had never been through an experience where a school just said, boom, we're closing the doors. And I was like, okay, is there not a longer process? Like, do we not have more time? I knew some things weren't going in the right direction, but did we not have time to, make it until the end of the school year, which is what I was anticipating, as far as being able to be, more realistic about the situation. But, to walk in and get that hammer slam, man, it was devastating, because for me, automatically my thought to my players.
Yep.
Okay, how do we find them places to go? It's November, October. You said October 28th, man. You got the date down.
Yeah, it was October 28th.
I had a month to place. I had a JV team, so we had like 25 kids. So we had a month to place 25 kids, and of those 25, I'll say round about 20 ended up going on to continue to play, that wanted to actually play. Good thing for us is we actually recruited a good, stronger class to where we would be able to play some of our kids. So it kind of took off early, and, just getting them placed was automatically my first thought. It didn't go to me first because, I said, I'll find a job. It's not my time right now. It's October. Most coaching jobs don't open up until the end of February, mid-March. So I got a couple months just to kind of hang out and chill and revise some things and everything. But, man, just that feeling was it was awful, man. I couldn't duplicate that feeling or wish that feeling on anybody else, to have to go in front of your team and say, your school's shutting down.
Yeah.
So that feeling right there was, man, I still can't believe it actually happened. But I will say our girls took it really well in the initial. And just like, okay, we got to find places to go. We're getting out of here. So, just when it all kind of came down, and I think our last day was like November 20-something, just to kind of tie up loose ends in a month's time and get them all placed, man, it was overwhelming. And getting I got over 150 emails about schools that wanted our players. Like, that was overwhelming. It got to the point where I told our girls to come in the office, pick out the schools that, they wanted to have interest in. Let's start looking them up online, look up their rosters. Are you going to be able to play? Give me your top 5 schools. Just like for me to, reach out to, that would be a possibility out of this stack of about 150, seriously. And, man, it was crazy. I've never experienced anything like that in my life.
How do you? All right. So I mean, this was the crazy thing about that is and we're not speaking bad on anybody, but there was an email sent to all the students during the meeting that we were in, right? And then and they found out basically the same time we did. So now we're in the meeting. They're texting us like, "What's going on?" We're sitting there like we have no idea. Like look, we're just as blind as you right now. How do you prepare yourself to break the news like that to your players? And what exactly, like, what do you say in a meeting like that? How do you? Because we're talking about 18, 19, 20-year-old guys and girls, athletes right now that have put a lot of time and effort into this. What exactly, I mean, how do you break the news to them?
Honestly, I think one of the best things for my team was that they found out during the meeting.
Yeah.
So we weren't there where they all kind of huddled together and I guess suppressed those emotions and feelings real quick, because when we met in the classroom that was across from my office, they were all kind of like ready to receive the information. And it's like, okay, what's next? Mm-hmm. So I don't know if there was tears or what that happened before we got there. That took about 20 minutes and my phone was blowing up from parents and, you know, it hit online. So I was getting texts from other coaches. Like it was just, man, it was crazy. If I could turn my phone off that day, I would have. And, you know, like I said, the number one priority was to help the girls get placed. And fortunately enough for us, we were able to get them placed. But also at the same time, you know, that feeling of what could have been with that group, we'll never know. And, you know, I got pictures of every team that I've ever coached hanging in my office, and they're the one that's closest to my desk because that was the latest one. And then, you know, my wall behind me will start my new group. You know, as the years kind of come on, but, you know, Zach comes in my office all the time and goes, man, that group could have been special. And it's like, yeah, I can appreciate that. But at the same time, if it wasn't for that place closing, I guarantee 100% I wouldn't be here right now. So it caused me to really reevaluate some stuff and a swinging opportunity.
As a coach, what exactly is how do you go back to the drawing board at that point? What is your next move? I mean, how do you respond to a situation like that?
Man. So for the first time I go, okay, you know, maybe this is God's way of telling me I finally get a break, because we really don't, we don't get time off. You may get a little bit of downtime in June, but outside of that, man, we're going. So I had a chance right away. I took a vacation. I said, okay, let me get away. Let me get my mind together. Let's see what happens. Let's go back to the drawing board. And it kind of made me level up my hustle when it comes to trying to obtain jobs. So, you know, basically what I did, I won't tell all the secrets, but it got me to revise my resume. I said, okay, I need to have a resume that includes boom, boom, and boom. This is what looks approachable. One of my mentors, Brian Evans, he's the athletic director at Georgetown College. I sent it to him. I said, hey, how does this look? And he said, as an athletic director, I'd take a look at that in a heartbeat. I was like, okay, that means I'm at least on the right track. So I started to revise my coaching portfolio as well. Okay, let's include more. Let's start preparing for, you know, February, March. You know, let's start to fill out what jobs are going to come open. You know, the rumor mill says certain schools are going to come open. Let's start to at least send out an introductory email just to say, hello, you know, my school closed down. Here's the situation. I did a couple other podcasts just to continue to try to, you know, stay relevant and grow my voice. And what do you know? COVID hits. And it's like everything goes out the window. So, you know, jobs that I was a finalist for, one job in particular, I was told that the job was mine because I knew the athletic director. She was a friend of mine. We played against each other at CCU, and she stepped over to the AD role. You know, she really liked what I brought to the table, but COVID hits and that whole process shuts down. So it was like, okay, this thing is real. Like, I don't know what it is, but it's real. So not only preparing to try to get a job, but the time where you're prepping and everything is going into it, the world basically stops. And for universities and everything, they're going on hiring freezes. Every in-person interview now turns to Zoom. How do we navigate Zoom before last year? I'd never heard of Zoom. by the end of it, I considered myself a professional because I'd been on so many Zoom interviews that I got this one right. I was like, I'm going to hit everything that everybody asks me in these Zoom calls, and I'm going to try to make it fit in the perfect situation. So, it was crazy, man. I couldn't prepare myself for that, but I'm thankful that I went through it and I've grown from it. It's definitely helped me become a better coach. And it's been an amazing ride from, CCU dismissing us in November to a year later, basically. Mm-hmm. So it's been exciting, man, but it was challenging. It was really hard.
What was one of the biggest challenges jumping from an assistant coach to a head coach?
As an assistant, you only suggest things. Mm-hmm. The head coach is going to go with what they want to do. As a head coach, you're making the decisions. But as the head coach, you can't look at the small picture. You got to look at the big picture. So I can't really pay attention to two kids' feelings about a certain situation with their playing time when I have to look at the picture as a whole to say this specific group with these two included will help us win regardless of how much those two are playing. So I have to look at the overall picture. I have to look at the budgets. I have to be responsible for, travel and scheduling games and, being able to deal with the intricate details outside of practice. So that's the big thing. It's not the actual X's and O's. It's not the actual running practices because assistants really help you do those type of things. It's everything outside of that. It's the recruiting, talking to the parents. If a kid gets sick, you got to be their point of contact, to take them to the hospital, to go get tested for COVID, to do so many things before you enter the gym to just coach for 40 minutes. So that's the big change. As an assistant, I didn't have to worry about none of that stuff, man. It was like, all right, coach, you got to take care of some business. Here's the practice plan. Let's go. Let's go run practice as the assistants. My head coaches come in 10, 15 minutes later dealing with some issue I probably wouldn't learn about until after practice or the next day just because it took so much to drive the boat. Yeah. So it was tough.
So what was the difference between navigating between head coach at Cincinnati Christian to a COVID head coach at Arkansas Monticello?
Well, I'll say this. We've played a total of 4 games this year.
Wow.
With 2 exhibitions. We've had up to the date, I think 10 games canceled.
Holy cow.
And that's just in the last 2.5, 3 weeks. The schedule got cut, I think 33%. So we went from 26 games and 4 26 games and 4 exempt games or non-con or however you want to say it. We went from 26 to 30 games to 20. Yeah. And from that 20, we've played 4.
Man.
That count. So plans go out the door. You got to adapt and adjust every day. Compared to Cincinnati Christian, where I was in year 3, the thing was rolling. Everything was set in stone. We had our rotations, our lineup. We were just trying to fine tune some things to really take off with that program. COVID hits. I get here in May and I find out, throughout the semester, we're not going to even play the first semester. So we're looking at an end of October start normally. Well, now we're pushed back to a January start date. So it's like, okay, January start date, all conference. Then they split our conference to where we play everybody on our side 4 times. So now we got this NBA style schedule and it's like, next problem. How are we going to switch calls? How are we gonna use different hand gestures? How are we gonna operate with different cues to notify our players? So by game 3, the other team doesn't know every single call or how we're gonna run it or what we like to do. So it's just a different animal. But to miss 10 games or 11 games, however many we've missed at this point, man, I couldn't write this in a book. I promise you.
So I'm at Lee University in Cleveland, Tennessee, in the GSC conference, and we're doing the same thing. Well, we just played a team this past weekend, our 3rd and 4th time. And it's like, man, I mean, and they're a good team. We got them the first 2 games. and then they got us these last two. And so it's how the saying goes, it's hard to beat a good team twice.
Yeah.
Well, it's really hard to beat a good team 4 times.
Yeah, it's been crazy. But the thing for us, we hadn't played anyone 4 times yet. So I'll play my most familiar opponent hopefully this weekend if the weather breaks. And they'll be the only team we've played 3 times. I got 2 teams on my side on the Arkansas side that I haven't even played yet. So due to COVID.
Wow.
So it's just, I'm gonna take it day by day. I'm a half full mentality person. A year ago, I didn't have a job. So for me, I'm gonna take my lumps and my bumps, and we're gonna adapt and adjust. And we're gonna try to get the girls as many games as possible, especially my seniors.
How have you been able to keep your players engaged during this time with them only playing 4 games? And I don't know how long you guys have been practicing for, but probably a lot of practice, not very many games. How do you keep them engaged?
It's hard, man. You kind of have to go off the grid a little bit. You try to get them in practice, shorter practice times. Like we just came off of. Now we're in the middle of a snowstorm right now. So, we practice for the second time Sunday and turn around Monday and Tuesday. We have to cancel practice because we have inclement weather. And then it's about to snow starting at like 3 a.m. tonight or tomorrow, I guess. And then there's another 2 days. So we had a game canceled this Thursday. And it's like, at this point, just try to make their experience as far as those games as close to possible as being enjoyable. No need to go the 2-hour practices for a system we've been installing since August. But at the same time, just being mindful that, we don't necessarily know how to navigate through this unknown. This is unknown, uncharted territory. So, as coaches and my staff and I, we don't know all the answers. So, we've made mistakes, I'm sure, and things could have been handled better, but not one of us, and including any other coach in America, has been through a pandemic where everything in your world has basically been flipped upside down. So, we've done the best job that we can. We're always in contact with our administration, and I'm appreciative of an administration that's really, really supportive, from our chancellor, Dr. Doss, to our athletic director, Mr. Patrick McMill, that they're very hands-on and they care about the program as a whole. So that's made the transition a little bit easy. But, man, I couldn't tell you. I can't tell you what we're doing right. I can't tell you what we're necessarily doing wrong.
That's what's so crazy about all this. There's no right or wrong. Nobody has any idea what's going on.
0. And people are making the best informed decision based on the unknown, really. So it's hard. So, we've just been trying to do the best that we can to at least keep them encouraged that, hey, we're going to play games.
Yeah.
So, that's the hard part. We don't know when. I can't give you an answer. I can't tell you when practice is going to be right now because we're in a snowstorm. I don't know. This is one heck of a first year for me, but, I wouldn't trade it for the world.
That's one of the things that you kind of had to figure out as a coach now, is just how to keep your players mentally tough. I mean, because day to day, you have no idea what's coming. And for young kids like that, attention spans aren't that long anyway. It's tough. It's tough, man. These kids we're asking a lot of them. They got to be mentally tough. So that's one of the things that you touched on, after Nate's question, but man, it's tough. It's tough, dude.
It's hard.
Because as a player, you would think, how would I be engaged the most?
And as athletes, you're such routine oriented. You're used to this regimen, and now that's completely blown up.
Yeah,
it's completely.
And it's like, but I'm such a competitive guy too, that when I was playing, if you were to tell me I didn't have games, like if we had a bunch of scrimmages, maybe I was like, oh, okay, well, this is still fun. Maybe more pickup, but who's to say that's right or wrong?
Yeah,
like there's just no telling.
We just don't know, man, and it's hard to keep them mentally focused. It's really hard. Nobody really has a recipe for it, and that's the problem. We can't really call anyone that's been through this 10 years ago and say, hey, what did you do during this time? It's just hard because the normal people I would lean on, for my mentorship, they really don't have a right answer for it either. They're just doing it the way that's best for their university. So it's tough, man.
Yeah, I believe it.
Well, whatever the recipe ends up being, I hope that we can throw it in the trash and forget about it for the rest of eternity, because it's chaos, absolute chaos. All right, Markel, hey, talk to us about just your coaching journey, how you started, what made you want to coach, what really, what made you fall in love with basketball, your desire to be a great coach. Just talk to us, walk us through your journey real quick.
So my aunt and uncle, Coach Lucy Seaberry, and my uncle, Coach Tavor Griffin, I'm sorry. I grew up in a gym with them. Both of them were high school coaches at the same high school, Cleveland Eastside High School in Cleveland, Mississippi. So, I used to hang out with my older cousins and go to practice with my uncle. And then my other cousin, she babysat me, but she was playing for her mom. So I'm in the gym with the girls team as well. So I'm getting tag team at the age of, I don't know, probably 5. And it just became a thing where, my uncle was really, really successful. However, my aunt was like God's gift to a basketball at one point. And it's crazy. You go in her house now, she's got like this shrine basically of all trophies and accolades, but I can just remember coming up, they named the street after her that the school is on, and she wins. I want to say it was like 832 games in her career of like 32 years. And I think she loses less than 200 and wins state championships. And she's honored by the WBCA, which is, the Women's Basketball Coaches Association, for her 700 and her 800 win. And it's like, man. And then the big story that basically made me choose, women's basketball over men. I tell people my uncle got kicked out of a game, and my aunt had to come down and finish the game, and they won. So at that point, I mean, I can't argue with that. There's no.
So you hang on. You say your uncle got kicked out, and then your aunt came down, had to finish it, and she won.
Kicked out. My aunt came from the bleachers and won the game as the acting head coach.
That's amazing. What year was this?
I cannot make this up.
What year was this?
Oh my God, this was in the 90s. Like, this is in the 90s. So, she's that tough, that pit bull that got everything out of her players, to the point that when she, you take a guys huddle, and I know that they're all locked in on her because she was a mean one on the court, so. And, my family tells that story all the time. And from that point on, they were super close, my aunt and uncle. And it's just like, I literally grew up in the gym. And, for me, it was never go to the NBA. It was never try to be, anything professional, not even to be college. It was just literally, I want to be a coach. This is what I like to do. I like watching this. Whatever this is, I need to do more of this, and I need to see more of this. And, I spent every summer as a kid basically in the gym with them, coming up. So, for me, that's what drove the coaching journey. And then, finishing school, I had to make the decision. The traditional route a lot of people make is, they go into high school and they work their way up as a teacher. I have an education degree. That was kind of the plan. My aunt and uncle coached high school. They taught, this is what I need to do, but I want to coach college. So how do I transition one to the other? Well, I was headed to Kansas Wesleyan University to start my GA in Salina, Kansas. And on my way back, one of my friends who knows nothing about basketball, he went with me. So we took like this 15 or 11 to 14 hours drive from Murfreesboro all the way to Salina, Kansas. And on our way back, he goes, I just got a question. I'm like, what's up? We're driving the car on our way back. And he goes, why you got to start in high school? Why couldn't you just jump into college? Who says you have to do that? Now, he doesn't know anything about sports whatsoever. And I was just like, you know what? Yeah, why can't I? So, I had about 8 hours at the point driving back, and he started driving, and I started calling every coach that I knew that could connect me with somebody else, and got connected with Lemoyne Owen College, volunteered for a short time, and I took from Lemoyne-Owen, moved to Southeastern Illinois College as an assistant. And during that time, I was coaching baseball and basketball. So it was crazy. It was all over the place. But from there, I took an opportunity, and I'll forever be in debt to Ken Lake, my first athletic director as a head coach. Our conversation started on LinkedIn.
Wow.
And that's how I got an interview. I got an interview on LinkedIn. So if you ever want to hear me being sworn by anything, I'm sworn by LinkedIn, I promise. And I took a job, I think I was 24, took a job as a head coach that most people wouldn't take as far as financial stability. You know, I've got a rule, it's bet on me, and I'm gonna bet on myself all the time.
Yep.
And that's kind of how I took the approach. Moved to Springfield, Ohio, you know, not getting paid a whole lot, but I took the opportunity, and I knew that opportunity would be needed for 10 to 12 years down the line, just to say I was a head coach one day. Didn't know how long I was going to be there, didn't know what was going to happen, but I had to take the opportunity because that didn't come every day to your 24-year-old African-American coaching women's basketball. You know, there were so many things stacked against me that I had to take the job. It's like, okay, I'm moving to Ohio. Never been to Ohio as far as just, you know, going to visit or anything. Knew nothing about where I was moving to, but I took that opportunity, and that just kind of upstarted my career.
That's awesome.
Talk to us a little bit more just about believing in yourself. I mean, and not getting that instant gratification while believing in yourself, because everybody will bet on yourself, believe in yourself, you know, but when that happens, people don't understand that you're not going to get the instant gratification, maybe that instant reward, that instant success that you're looking for. It takes time. Just talk to us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, man, patience. I know the cliche saying, patience is a virtue. That's real. You're going to doubt yourself. At times, you're going to say, am I doing the right thing? At times, you're going to say, you know, maybe I should have listened to those other people. But you got to bet on yourself. And I take that to the grave. When CCU shut down, I drove to an apartment and everything. And I said no. And I turned it down. And I thought I was crazy. I'm like, okay. My thought process was, if they offer me a job this quick, somebody else, if I wait, will offer me a job later. I didn't know the pandemic was coming. This was January, end of January, you know, early February. So I didn't know that any other jobs were open. I didn't know if the pandemic was, I didn't know any of this, but I turned down the job because I was going to bet on my chances with the rest of the field and not just bite at the first one that offered. People thought I was crazy. You know, they were like, why wouldn't you take this job? This is a for sure check. You'll have a place for next year. For me, it was like, no, I don't think that this is the right opportunity for me right now. Great situation for somebody else. For me, it didn't fit. So down the line, man, it obviously it paid off for me. I'm somewhere where I really, really want to be. I really enjoy where I am. I'm closer to home. I'm closer to my grandparents. You know, everything really, really worked out for me outside of being, you know, taking a job in Michigan. So, you know, I've been a bet on myself guy my entire career. The hardest part was giving up a head coaching job at 25 at the time to go be an assistant again. That was hard, but I had to, you know, I had to strategically move and said, you know, I had to take what's called a calculated risk. I knew I needed to go to be an assistant at the Division II level because it was offered to me, because 5, 6, 7 years down the line, I knew it would be helpful. In turn, I'm a Division II head coach now. And one of the things that we talked about was my Division II experience. So doing that and then being able to take a head coaching job at the NAIA level, I need to put that on my resume, show more stability as a head coach. Cincinnati Christian, it seemed like a great situation. Taking that position for 3 years, I knew if I could win at that point, people would notice the wins and the community service and the things that we were doing at the university to where it would stand out on a resume. So, again, I took all opportunities and I bet it on myself. And, with seeking mentorship, of course, throughout that whole process, but, I bet on me. And I say all the time, nobody's going to get in the cage and fight for me like I'll fight for me. So that's my opportunity. That's how I approach every opportunity.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Markell, so every single week I do 3 keys, and I ask 3 keys basically. So I'm kind of putting you on the spot here, but I used to do them at the beginning of our podcast, and now I give them to people who are smarter than I, and you today are smarter than I. So as a young coach, as a young head coach, what are the 3 biggest keys for gaining respect from your players?
I like that one.
Biggest keys to gaining respect from your players.
Mm-hmm. As a young coach,
have a plan.
Have a plan.
That's probably going to be number 1 for me. Have some sort of plan. I don't care if it's your first time, you're going to make mistakes as a coach, but I like to map out my year 6 months to a year. Have a plan going in. Did I know that plan was going to work when I was entering into my first year as a head coach? Absolutely not. But I had a plan. And I was able to tweak the plan according to the situation. Number 2, be able to adapt and adjust. You're not always going to know what you're going to get out of your recruits that come in. They're going to be a different kid than they were when they were sitting in front of you with mom and dad, or how comfortable when they were, in their own gym, lighting up the scoreboard. Okay. And number 3, I'd probably say just have a little bit of patience. A little bit of patience. It's not going to be an overnight success. You're going to take your lumps and your bumps. But you've been dealt the hand that you've been dealt, and somebody else could come in and win with that hand. Be patient. It's going to come around, and it's going to be exactly what you want in the end. But while you're dealing with your actual team and who you have, and most of the time as a first year, you inherit players. So you're trying to get them to buy in, and you're trying to get them to believe into, what you're selling for, what the future looks like, So it's really, really hard, but it can be done because people do it everywhere. Okay. Everybody's not going in losing their first year. Everybody's not going in winning their first year. The difference is that, it's going to be a journey. Players are going to come and go. How you impact their life is going to be very important, whether that's positively or negatively. My thing is I always care about being respected versus being liked. And hopefully when they leave my program, they can say, they grabbed something from me about life. And whatever that is, whether they like me or not, they can say, under Coach Cox's leadership, I learned a couple of things. Even if it's just arrive everywhere 15 minutes early. Even if it's just that simple, that helps shape the rest of their lives, that they can impact into their kids 10 years from now, or whatever they may be. They picked up something in the program. We've done our job.
Yeah, that's good. I like be respect more than being liked. I mean, obviously you want to be both, but like the importance of the respect more than the like. That's good. That's good. That's good
for sure.
And that's the part that's for young coaches too.
Yes.
Yeah. And respect takes time. Respect takes a lot of time. That's not something you gain overnight. Trust and respect. I mean, that takes a whole lot of time, and it's one of those things that can boom. It can disappear in an instant. Hey, Markell. All right. So as we're wrapping up here, you mind doing a few some rapid fire questions with us, having a little bit of fun?
Sure. I'll try my best.
All right. Here we go. All right. Again, Memphis native, right? Best wings in Memphis. Best wing spot in Memphis.
Crumpies.
Okay. Best barbecue spot in Memphis.
It's probably gonna be found on a corner out of a food truck or something. To be honest, I like Boss. Boss is on the corner and great barbecue spot.
All right. Ever been kicked out of a game?
No, been close.
Close. How many technicals have you gotten?
3.
Ever dunked a basketball on a 10-foot rim?
No. Rim grazers and alley-oops only that I don't consider a dunk.
Foul up 3 at the end of a game, or let it play out?
Say that again.
Foul up 3 at the end of a game, or let it play out?
Depends on situation. Depends on if you're home
okay,
away.
I know. I'm just gonna have to scratch that question.
Yeah, I'm not gonna tell one of my opponents may be watching and may know what we're gonna do.
Leave your best player in with 2 fouls in the first half.
No.
Go for the tie, go for the win.
At home, probably go for the tie. On the road, I'm probably going for the win.
Okay. Suit your sweats on the sideline.
Suits, always.
Early morning practice or evening or night practice?
I'm an early morning guy. I can do early mornings.
If you could not coach basketball or be in the world of sports, what would you do?
That one, I don't even know. Probably be some, a teacher or something in some classroom trying to get into sports.
Hey, were you the golf coach at Urbana?
I was.
Can you play golf?
I'm not good at all. Like my.
All right. Well, normally I ask right here what your golf handicap is, or I ask, can you break 100? Can you break 100 in golf?
Oof, it'd be tough.
When was the last time you played golf?
My players were light years better than me, and it was like, all right, I gotta get a little more serious about this.
I was reading your bio before, and it said you were the women's golf coach at Urbana, and I was like, hold on. What's
2
up with
years.
this? All right,
Crazy.
okay. So you don't know your handicap. Breaking hundreds is iffy. All right. Should every team make the conference tourney?
No.
LeBron or Jordan?
Jordan.
All right. There you have it. Markel, I appreciate you, man. Know you had a wild day, been a wild year. You've been making adjustments on the fly just like everybody else. I'm happy for you where you're at right now. I know there's a lot of big things ahead. We appreciate you coming on today, this evening. I hope everybody gives it a listen. Markel, where can everybody find you on Instagram or Twitter?
I believe it's Coach.
And throw your LinkedIn in there too.
I believe it's Coach Cox _ I believe that's Twitter and Instagram. On LinkedIn, just Markel Cox. I would suggest every up-and-coming coach get a LinkedIn and check it every morning before you check Facebook, and it will do wonders for your career.
There we go. Some impromptu last-minute advice, and we didn't even ask him, Nate.
Yeah, look at that.
You can find me on Instagram at the Ace of Spades. I am not on Twitter, although I am thinking about getting a new one. I'm trying to come up with some creative new Twitter names. So since my other one got hacked, Nathan, they can find you at Nate5_Moran on both Instagram and Twitter. Mind of a Coach, we are on Twitter at Mind of a Coach 1, and we are on Instagram at just Mind of a Coach. Markel Cox, I appreciate it again, man. Best of luck to you. We'll be keeping up with you, and we'll talk to you soon.
Man, I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Have a good one.